Have you ever been face to face with a grizzly bear? Well, today is the day. Hello, and thank you for joining me. Today we're painting one of Alaska's most iconic and powerful animals, the grizzly bear. Let's begin by gently erasing our sketch lines so they won't compete with the watercolor layers. Now, using a very diluted brown, begin applying the base layer to the bear. Focus on defining the overall shape first rather than worrying about details. Keep your strokes soft and fluid, allowing the watercolor to move naturally across the paper. At this stage, we're simply establishing the form and beginning to map out areas of light and shadow. While that first layer dries, let's move on to the landscape. Apply a soft blue wash to the sky and light greens to the pasture areas in the scene. Keep these layers subtle and airy for now. Now that the bear's base layer has settled slightly, we can begin adding darker details using a thinner brush and more saturated paint. Focus on defining the claws, facial features, and areas of fur texture. Use directional brushstrokes that follow the natural flow of the fur to help create movement and realism. Don't overwork these details too quickly. We'll continue building them gradually as the painting develops. For now, let's allow these layers to dry while we return to the landscape. Begin adding more variation and depth to the ground by layering richer greens, browns, and subtle shadows. Then move back into the sky and softly define the snow-capped mountains in the background, using delicate hints of blue, gray, and violet tones. Sometimes less detail creates a more atmospheric effect in distant elements like mountains. As you continue building your layers, begin using slightly more saturated paint and more intentional brushwork. Each new layer adds texture, contrast, and depth to the piece. And speaking of depth and power, grizzly bears are truly incredible animals. Despite their massive size, they can run surprisingly fast, up to 35 miles per hour. They are also excellent swimmers and highly intelligent foragers. Grizzlies are omnivores, meaning they eat a wide variety of foods, including berries, roots, fish like salmon, insects, and sometimes even large mammals. And during winter, they enter a long hibernation period where they can spend months resting while surviving off stored body fat. It's amazing how resilient and adaptable they are in such extreme environments. That combination of raw strength and quiet survival is part of what inspired this painting. Now let's continue moving back and forth between the landscape and the bear, slowly refining details and creating stronger contrast through the composition. Deepen some of the dark shadows in the fur, especially around the legs, face, and underside of the body. Then soften transitions with a slightly damp brush where needed. Return to the landscape and add texture to the ground using varied brush strokes and subtle color shifts. These little changes help the environment feel more natural and alive. As you continue layering, take your time and let the watercolor dry between sections whenever possible. Patience helps preserve clarity and prevents colors from becoming muddy. Use smaller, more controlled strokes around the face and claws to sharpen important details without overwhelming the softness of the overall painting. And remember, watercolor has a beautiful unpredictability to it. Sometimes the paint blooms or softens in unexpected ways, and often those moments add most character to the final piece. Step back occasionally and look at the painting as a whole. Notice how the bear stands with the landscape and how the contrast between soft washes and detailed textures create balance. Keep refining until your grizzly bear feels grounded, powerful, and full of life. And when the fur, the landscape, and the atmosphere all come together naturally, that's when you know your painting is complete.